Hello and welcome to LegitMTG.com. I am Joshua Clater, host of the Untitled Blogcast here on the site. We just wanted to let you know that you can have free shipping on orders of $2 or more when you shop at store.legitmtg.com. Hi everyone, it's me, Josh, and who's with me today?
Andy!
Yay, Andy! Andy, what are we doing today?
We are discussing Amonkhet.
We are? What are we discussing about it?
Spoilers, mechanics, new rules.
Get out of town!
Nope, still in town.
Alright, let's get to the spoiler discussion. I made a PowerPoint because that's pretty much what my college degree means to me now, is the fact that I can make PowerPoint presentations. So, let's go ahead and bask in this glory. Just soak it in. I am terrible. Alright, we're going with promo cards. We're going to talk about buy a box and launches and the game day promos. Andy, you go ahead and go with the buy a box and launch.
Sure. Buy a box promo, we have Archfiend of Ifnir. 5/4 flying, 5 mana. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, your opponent's entire team gets a -1/-1 counter.
Alright, cool. That's a big beast. Trades with Heart of Kiran. For 5 mana, it needs to do more, but it's cool because it has a really neat cycle trick. And by cycle trick, I mean a cycling matters thing of the putting -1/-1 counters on each creature your opponent controls. Those counters stay on.
Yeah.
That's cool beans. What's the next card? It's the launch promo.
Oracle's Vault. Seems a little slow for what it does, but if the format slows down at all, this might see French play, but otherwise I'm seeing this card looking like an EDH All-Star.
Hey now, it's an all-star.
Get your game on, go play.
Fair enough. Yeah, like the brick counter mechanic is whatever, cool, blah. The fact that it doesn't reset counters whenever you use its second ability is super nice. So you're spending 10 mana over 3 turns, well 4 turns, to start getting the effect, which isn't terribly bad if the format weren't so incredibly fast right now in regards to standard, and things are blazingly fast. Will it see some play? Maybe. It reminds me a lot of stuff like Brain in the Jar. But yeah, this card is going to see a lot of Commander play.
I play very little Commander, but just looking at the text on the card and reading it, I think that it may combo best with Mind Over Matter, but that's only going to be for maybe a mono blue Commander deck or a blue green deck. But I still like the thought process of potentially cycling through your deck.
Oh yeah, who doesn't? People that hate fun, that's who doesn't. Alright, we'll move on to the game day promos. These promos are going to also highlight mechanics in the sets. True Heart Duelist, which everyone went crazy go nuts about because they apparently think that because it's set in Egypt and it's a duelist, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, and who cares? But anyways, it can block an additional creature each combat and has Embalm. And Glorybringer, which apparently is not a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, I don't know, never played the game, is a 4/4 flying with haste that also has Exert. So when it attacks, you can exert it, which means you don't untap it during your next untap step, and it deals 4 damage to a non-dragon creature an opponent controls. Pretty nice ability, pretty nice body. Still, 5 mana is a lot when people are just crewing Heart of Kirans. True Heart Duelist is also super cool. You're getting what turns out to be 4 power for 5 mana over a couple of turns. That can block multiple creatures. Pretty neat.
It is.
Our next slide talks about the welcome decks. And the welcome decks are those 30-card decks that you get whenever you ask a store owner, hey, how do you play Magic? And they just hand you a deck or whatever. These cards have cards that will be legal in Standard. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to show up in packs or whatnot. Like the Renewed Fate says Story Spotlight 1 of 5. I'm pretty sure that one's not showing up in a pack.
No.
But it's going to be Standard legal. So we got Renewed Faith, which is one of my favorite cards because I loved Astral Slide, and Renewed Faith was clutch in getting me onto the Pro Tour. I like Fling, and we do have the Atog Fling combo with the Gremlin from Fate or Aether Revolts. I was gonna say Fate Reforged.
Almost.
We have Sixth Sense, which is a card people are saying is going to see play in Modern Boggles, which I really like Sixth Sense because it's, you can put it on a opponent's creature, and it pretty much acts as a moat because who's going to want to let you draw a card unless they're dealing lethal?
Very true.
And then we've got Giant Spider, which I like Giant Spider. I don't know if it's going to see play. But out of all the other cards in the welcome decks, Giant Spider just seemed to make the most sense.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's move on to the next slide. Alright, Andy, we got the Cycling Lands. Take it away.
Love these things. Love them. I don't even care if they come into play tapped. You can search for them via cards that fetch out basic land, not basic land types, I think. I don't know if this goes pair for pair with a Tomb of Aether.
I don't know what a Tomb of Aether reads off the top of my head.
I'm trying to read it really quick. It only fetches basic land cards, so it can't fetch these.
You can use the Zendikar fetches to get these.
Oh yes.
I'm fairly certain you can search for them with Farseek.
You can. I was trying to figure out where the interaction was to make these just over the top good.
Life from the Loam?
That too.
Life from the Loam, Seismic Assault. I mean, they are dual lands that play into the cycling mechanic that's featured in the sets. These lands could have been printed back in Urza's Saga block. They could have been printed in Onslaught block, but we didn't get them in Onslaught block because we got fetch lands, and I'm pretty happy that we got fetches.
I think that may have been an argument way back when of them coming to play tap lands that cycle versus fetches. But
I mean, they don't want to make lands that are strictly better than the original duels. But,
oh no, they'll never do that.
These aren't anywhere close. But
no.
As time has gotten away from the original duels, we can see more powerful cards. And Irrigated Farmland is a very powerful land. When I first saw these spoiled, I was relatively nonplussed about them because I was like, all right, well, they're dual lands that cycle. Ooh, big whoop. And then I saw the land types and was like, oh, these are actually really outstanding.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've got cycling lands. These are spoiled last week. We'll move on to the next slide, keeping it quick. We're going over the mechanics. We got Aftermath, which is a brand new twist on split cards. These cards look like... I'm not a fan of what these cards look like. I think they could have designed these in such a way to make them look like normal split cards. But I think it's important to note that I believe the Aftermath cards, one side will be an instant, one side will be a sorcery. So I guess having the top half be the instants plays off well with the way the card's designed. I like the idea, and I like the design space of what Aftermath can do in regards to split cards. But I also like the split cards rules change that has been announced. You can actually find more information about that on the mothership, but real quick, I will go into it. Split cards no longer have separate converted mana costs, and then unless it's on the stack. So like, if we have Boom Bust, it's 2 if you cast Boom while it's on the stack, but it's 8 everywhere else. So you can't Goblin Dark Dweller for Boom Bust and then cast the Bust side of it, because it costs 8. If that, it makes more sense than trying to remember that Boom costs 2, Bust costs 6, it cost 8. Like, it gave too many converted mana costs to track, and now it's just tracking the 1 unless it's on the stack. Anyways, Andy, what do you think of Aftermath?
I like it. I think it's just they don't want to. I don't think they wanted to come. I think they just wanted to have a new way of saying flashback, but have a slightly different tune to it. Like, it's got a different color, it's got a different mana cost, it's got a different effect that goes hand in hand with whatever the instant part of it is.
I do like that you can cast them both in the same turn. Like, I don't know why that would ever be an issue, but I like the idea that you can onward and then go straight to victory.
Yeah.
I like that was a big thing they made a deal out of on their preview article. I don't know why they made a big deal out of it, but hey, I'll make a big deal out of it too. Move on to the next mechanic. So, we've already talked about cycling with the dual lands and the Arcfiend. Just wanted to give you a real quick overview of what cycling is. You pay a cost, you discard the card, you draw a card. There are cards with cycling matters. I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, to see Astral Slide and Lightning Rift, but it looks like Drakehaven is going to be the play on Lightning Rift in this set. When you cycle or discard a card, you pay 1. Instead of shocking something, you get a 2/2 Drake. And I think you'll like the view that this card gives you. I can't think of another Drake reference besides Hotline Bling right now, and that does not work.
No.
And Cast Out is a ridiculous card. It has Flash. Oblivion Rings. Well, not Oblivion Rings. I guess it.
It rings.
No, what's the fixed ring?
Stasis Snare.
That's only creatures.
Only creatures.
They did an Oblivion Ring that's not an Oblivion Ring in, I think, one of the last core sets, and I don't remember the name of it. Man, getting old's terrible. Anyways, we talked a lot about cycling. It's a really cut and dry mechanic. Man, it is. Andy, look up that card because it's gonna bother me. Are you looking at that?
Yeah.
Is this a card that's kind of like Shazam starring Sinbad?
Does
it only exist in our minds?
I'm trying to think of what it could have been. I know what card you're talking about. I just can't draw it into.
Google search.
Vanishing Light.
Vanishing Light. Yes, that's it. That's it. Tremendous. Magnificence. Next slide. We're going to talk about Embalm. I've seen some people talk about Sacred Cat like it is the next Doom Traveler in Pauper. and I like Sacred Cat. It kind of creeps me out in its zombie form, but the whole lifelink 1/1, pretty cool. But anyways, Embalm is a thing where you pay the cost, you exile it from the graveyard, you create a token that's a zombie, and it has no mana cost. And you can Embalm only as a sorcery. Which I'm fairly certain that'll get some kind of stupid blue enchantments that'll allow you to Embalm as an instance. Because blue always gets enchantments that does something with a set mechanic. Something like Rooftop Storm. Andy, how do you like Embalm?
I like it for limited in the fact that you can get double usage out of your creatures.
Yeah, that's a super good limited mechanic.
Yeah. Now I can always imagine they're going to print bigger things with Embalm. I can't imagine it's going to be all these little DD dudes that are 1/1s and 2/2s with Embalm, because late game 1/1s and 2/2s don't make much of an impact.
I went with Sacred Cat because Aaron Campbell spoiled it on our Twitter last night, and I like the work that Aaron does, and I just wanted to name drop her because she used to do a podcast for Legit long time ago, and she's off doing great things at Gathering Magic now. So, anyways, I just wanted to say hi to Aaron. We'll move on to the next slide. We're looking at Exert. Andy, you're going to talk for a little bit.
You got it. Exert. The Exert mechanic is whenever the creature attacks, you may do an effect. If you do, your creature doesn't attack during the next step, but Exert isn't a must effect, it's a may effect, so you may use it, you may not, depends on the situation. I think that Exert is one of those mechanics where, as a player, you have to decide whether or not to push your creature basically to its over limit or outer limit to gain a short-term effect for the turn, or a board changing effect.
Yeah, because Glorybringer's not a short-term effect. It's a pretty big effect.
It's a big effect, and the creature we're looking at here, the Top Crop Elite, he gives your whole team +1/+1. That's a big swing too. If you have a board, I would say at least 3 to 4 creatures. It's even a big swing.
That it is.
I think it ultimately comes down to, is the effect worth it for the time being, and is it worth your creature being tapped down for a full turn?
Yeah, it's going to lead to. I think they want to make some sort of tension in gameplay, and like werewolves lead to tension. Like, do you cast 2 spells and flip it back to its face side, or is your opponent able to cast a spell to keep it from flipping? That's, I think that's better tension than what the Exert mechanic is. I like Exert, and I like that. That some of these mechanics seem to be very powerful, and that some of them. I mean, granted, we're only into day 2 of spoilers now, and I've been trying to use new spoilers as they come out. But Exert, it's a fairly nice mechanic. I like it. We'll see how it plays. I think it's better than I think it's better than what we're initially saying about it, if that makes sense. Next slide.
Yeah.
-1/-1 counters isn't really a mechanic. It's more of a theme. But there is a huge theme of -1/-1 counters in Amonkhet. And, well, these are just a couple of spells that, like Splendid Agony, can kill a couple of 1/1s. Channeler Initiate, I think it's a rather reasonable play on a 2 mana costing mana creature.
Mm-hmm.
You do it like you make it a 0-1 when it comes into play, and you get 3 turns of mana ramp off of it, which I think is fairly reasonable because you remove the counters, and then when you're done with the mana part of it, you have a viable 3/4 attacker. And you couldn't say that about Bird of Paradise or Utopia Tree had Defender, but a lot of the mana creatures that produce mana aren't really impressive attackers, and Channeler Initiate is a very good body when you're done using it for mana.
I agree. I could see. I like the abilities on these creatures because they start off really weak, but as you use them more and more, they get better and better. And
it's kind of like another way to look at level up.
Yeah.
Like a reworked version of that, kind of. Alright, so let's move on. We have Trials and Cartouches. Thematically, the Cartouche is a reward for completing your trial. So you cast Trial of Knowledge, you draw your 3 cards, and then you discard. And then you get an enchantment and you redo the trial. And I think it's cute. And Cartouche's Solidarity is actually a fairly good Magic card. This one I seeing more play in Boggles than Sixth Sense, because it makes a creature, which is outstanding.
Pretty good.
It helps protect against sacrifice effects and allows you to keep your important hexproof creatures. But I'd like to see other trials.
I think there's going to be something along those lines I think there's going to be a trial cycle, but
there is a trial cycle, yes. There's also a Cartouche cycle. In fact, that's our next slide.
See what we got.
We got the Monument cycle and the God cycle to go along. The gods have a devotion-like thing that keeps them from attacking or blocking, but they're still creatures. So instead of getting a mana cost to meet to turn them on, they're going to be on, but they can't do anything unless you meet their devotion-like cost. Monuments are things that make creature spells cheaper and give you an effect when you cast a creature spell. They've spoiled the Blue God, but it was a Japanese site that spoiled it, and I didn't feel comfortable with the translations that were out yet, so I was kind of waiting. And Hazarat was the only god that had been spoiled up until now.
Yeah, I saw the print for the Blue God this morning. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the greatest.
It seems like a solid 5 out of 7.
Yeah, I think most of the gods are going to have a restriction, not even based on devotion. It's going to be more based on cards in your hand.
Well, yeah, it's devotion-like. Like devotion light is what they've been calling it.
Mm.
I don't know. Set so far, we haven't seen a lot, and there hasn't been a lot of cards that really knock me off. Like really, really excite me. That have been spoiled yet. But again, when this goes live, MTGO Traders will have their spoiler card up on their YouTube channel, which is also the pure MTGO spoiler card. and I'm fairly excited about it. I can't say anything about it yet because obviously we have a street date and blah blah blah. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about the mechanics this week. Andy, I think next week we should actually sit down and talk about the neat cars that are spoiled outside of the mechanics. What do you think about that?
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, I know you're a busy man, and I'm not as busy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end our recording for today. Sir, it's been a pleasure.
You too.
And for Andrew, I'm Joshua Clater. You have a good day.